Good evening and welcome to the show. I am the host, Rick McCormick, a licensed realtor and team lead and owner and founder of the Rick McCormick Realty Group under the umbrella of eXp Realty. And we're coming to you from our offices here in South Oklahoma City. So something come in for somebody looking to buy a place here in Oklahoma City. This buyers, sellers, we have a lot of realtors. Later in the show, we're going to, we have some realtor tips and fundamentals. And this evening, we're going to put that into some things that kind of are for realtors and consumers. I want to talk about kind of 6 things and 6 scams that people try to perpetrate on both home buyers, sellers, and realtors. I think you'll be very interested in this. And you can also find me at CoachMac10x.com and our real estate training, teaching, and coaching program for realtors and brokers. And we've talked about on past shows that 75% of licensed realtors leave the industry in their first year. And we address the reasons why. 90% leave within their first 5 years. What are the reasons why, and how can we help you not be one of those numbers and we can help you make it, enhance your income, whatever. But on our show this evening, like I said, we've got a great show lined up here on this Wednesday, September 17th. The Federal Reserve and our number one man, Jerome Powell, the chairman of the Federal Reserve, they met and had a press conference today. And we're going to have our mortgage expert, Mr. Kendal Dexter, on here with us later. He's on with us as a routine guest virtually every week. And today we got some real news. I'll go ahead and spoil it for him. They have dropped the interest rate by 25 basis points. And that's the first time, I believe, in about 3 years. I'm going to let him, that's kind of his area, but they have artificially went in and more than doubled the rates over, starting in about 2021, 2022. I mean, we're at least 3 years. So this is good news, and a rate cut. But the best news is they signal not only that this is the first cut and there's more to come. The Federal Reserve meets every 6 weeks. And we got 2 more this calendar year in 2025. If they cut them both times, all of a sudden, that's 75 basis points. And hey, they might cut them 50. If we get 75 to 100 basis points, that's going to move the interest rates. That's going to move the market some. And I was trying to see here, actually, and when our mortgage expert, when we bring him on, he's going to be mad at me here because I'm stealing his thunder. But today I was trying to see how long it's been. I'm going to say it's been at least 3 years since we have had a cut. But good news on that. Now, it's 25 basis points, so don't rush out and look to refinance. That's not going to move the market much. But if we get another 25, all of a sudden by the end of the year, if we move it 75 basis points, that is going to move the market considerably. Now, once again, I'm going to go back to kind of our intro of our show. If you're listening, most of our listeners know, I am Rick McCormick, a local area realtor, and got some great clients, by the way. I'm going to throw that out too. I've got Clint and Charlotte Gamble right now. We've got a house under contract, them to sell and to buy. And I've got a wonderful couple out of Marlow, Oklahoma that's moving here. We have them under contract, set to close next Friday on the 26th, Ryan and Melissa Blundell. I've got under contract now. Well, we hope to have under contract soon, Sean and Liz Everett. And this is several transactions, with Clint. This is when we complete this, it'll be 4 transactions with them. This when I complete this with Sean and Liz before transactions with them, one of which was a referral as they moved to Fort Worth. And, within EXP in our framework, we've got agents all over the country. And I have people calling me, wanting me to work with people here that they've referred. I got a call from Indianapolis, a week ago about someone here. And we also refer. I can help you anywhere in North America from right here. And I can still kind of be involved in a transaction. I'm not licensed in Texas. I'm not licensed in Kansas. But I can get you a top-of-the-line agent and still kind of keep an eye on things and talk with them and still kind of help and assist to some degree. And we do that often. So keep that in mind. EXP, we're operating in, 28 international countries right now. But as far as North America, every state in the U.S. and Canada and Mexico. Got North America covered. We got the UK covered. So that's all good. All right. And several of the books that I've written, a book on selling homes, selling secrets you can't afford to miss. Okay. So if you'd like a copy of that book, reach out to me on a text, and we'll send you a free digital copy that you can read on your iPad or, your phone, your iPad, your computer, whatever you choose, no cost on the digital copy. We've got hard copies that we can send you for mailing costs, and your guide to purchasing a home. And I've also got one for what to do when your home expires. We talk to a lot of people that are frustrated with a real estate agent that they've dealt with in the past, and listings expire, and what happens then. All right, let's talk about what's been going on in our market here in the last 7 days. We always look at the last week. Now, the market and these numbers that I'm going to give you, and the numbers of listing and what's going on, that directly influences where the market's at. And your real estate agent, and unfortunately so few of them know this, but and study this, but it's important that your agent knows these numbers. Not just comes in, okay, it's a pretty house. I'll get you showing. We'll go unlock the door. That's a part of it, but it's such a small part of it. Are you in a buyer's market or are you in a seller's market? Where are things at? And tell people the truth. If they want to sell their house, we got heavy inventory right now. And there's looking at these last 7-day numbers, there's no indication that that's necessarily going to stop. What I've got right now in the last 7 days, I've had 854 new listings. 854. I've had 166 back on the market. That's over 1,000, guys. Over 1,000. Sell. Locked down and sold. 467. So let's do the math here. At 854, the 166, that's over 1,000, but I've had just under 500 sell. Still, things are selling. That's almost 100 a day. 90, 93 a day. 5 business days closed. But our inventory, the point is going to continue to tick up. What is my inventory tonight? Well, we've got almost 8,700 homes. That 86, 89 as we speak. It's condos, duplex, anywhere a single family could live. Guys, we're knocking on 9,000 properties. Normal, prior to COVID in our market, was 6,000. 6,000. That was normal. COVID numbers went way down. 543, 2, 1,800, 6,000, 1,800. Crazy. Seller's market all the way. That ship has sailed long ago. Now, this whole interest rate thing that we're going to talk about has had quite a bit to do with that. But home prices went up. Supply demand. You got buyers out there like crazy. They're going to go up. So those numbers climb back up. 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, 6,000. Okay, we're back to normal. 6,500. We're above normal. 7,000. Wow. Inventory's getting kind of big. 7,500. 8,000. We got 8,000 properties. 8,500. Today we're 87. Just under 8,700. So, but again, almost 500 sold in the last week. 467. Almost 500 sold. So, it's getting the right agent. I spoke with some people today. They just had a bad experience with a real estate agent. I'm not going to call names on here. They were very unhappy. They're going to go talk to the person over here. I didn't say anything. I'm not critical, but a mistake. That was some people today out in Midwest City. They're making a mistake. You better get somebody that will tell you the truth and knows how to navigate the system. And gives you good advice. You don't want to leave money on the table, but right now, you got a price within where the market's at. You got a price with inventory in your zip code. You got a price with inventory in your neighborhood. Setting the price properly is the key. Then it goes to marketing and advertising and ability to negotiate, ability to follow up. These realtors that put a sign in the yard that you never hear from, that's not your way to go. It's not. And you're going to, you're going to find out. You better get with the right person. We do a great job, and there's other people that do as well. We're not the only ones. But, you've got about 5% of the people that are really astute and into this. And, I don't know how many realtors there are in the state that have written books and have their nationally syndicated radio shows such as this one, but it's not very many. I would say you count them on, in the state of Oklahoma, if you can't count them on one hand, I promise you count them on two. So, and it does deals, and it's experienced at this, it studies this. Now, you add to that, has a training and coaching program such as CoachMac10x.com. Hit me up on there. Let me drop me a line on that site. Let me know you heard the show on here, CoachMac10x.com. All right, so I told you a little about our inventory here. 854 new, 166 back on, over 1,000, 467 sold. Also had 152 expired, 46 withdrawn. So I had 200 in the last week. People couldn't sell. 200. I guess 198 if you want to get technical, but let's call it 200 if I may. 200. So, again, what's the difference? Already told you the difference. The agent, their tools, their acumen. Not everyone has the same tools. Not everyone spends the same amount of money in marketing and advertising. It's important. Very important. Where are people seeing properties today? See them on some aspect of an internet search. Some aspect of an internet search. That's where they're coming from. So, know that, and putting your deal in a magazine is, it's great. That's kind of old school. Put it in a newspaper. Newspapers still exist. That's old school. It needs to be technology driven. It needs to be on some aspect of a computer search because that's where people are at. It's where 96% of the people first see their home. We got nice signs. Put them out in the yard. Do some open houses. That's a 4%er. 96% chance they're going to see it online. So keep that in mind. All right. Let's talk about this interest rate drop today. And I'm interested to know from we bring on Kendal Dexter how many years it's been. When is the last time they had a drop? I know we've got 2 more meetings, one 6 weeks from today, which that would put us down into probably right at the end of October, and then another and they said they're going to make cuts during those 2 meetings. So while the day was not a massive move, it certainly created optimism. So, all right, I'm going to go ahead and bring in Kendal Dexter, the owner of Security Financial Mortgage. Kendal, great to have you along this evening.
Yes, sir. Great to be here on Fed Reserve meeting day. One of my favorite days every time, except for during the slow crawl up with rates. But we're coming back down, buddy.
First time in a while. When is the last, to that question I was talking about earlier, can you tell us here, I don't know if you have it right in front of you, but when is the last time they made a cut? It's been 3, maybe even 4 years. I mean, 2021 we were still pretty good, but I was just thinking, they started raising them somewhere in there. And it has been a minute since we had a cut. But tell us about this cut today, what was said, what it means.
First off, you're forgetting a little bit. We had a cut in December 2024, so it hasn't been.
Oh my God! We did
nothing but going up, and then we got a quarter cut December 2024. That was the last time they did that, and then they were holding steady. Then this political battle, holding steady for the political battle, but blaming it on inflation. And then the jobs reports are coming out poor. Jobs reports are being backdated poor, revised to the bad. So they forced their hand. So we ended up with the 25 basis point cut. One of the Trump supporting members voted for 50, but the rest 25 across the board. And then going forward, they're projecting 2 more cuts. We're going to go quarter the next 2 meetings. And I don't think they can go more than a quarter because it's going to shock the market too much. If they've got to ease into this, and that's what they're going to do.
Okay, now, all right, and you're right. I certainly have forgotten that we had a cut in December. It seems like it's been, all the way back to when Moby Dick was a minnow when we had the last cut. But that would certainly slipped by me if we had one in December of last year. But what does today's cut mean? First part of the question, and what will getting 2 more? Say we go into the end of the year with 75 basis points. Answer today first, and then what does that look like for the future?
So today was 95% expected. By the time it was time to announce, the market was almost 100% that it was going to be a quarter, and it was. And so since they already knew that, it was already built into the market. So what they're looking at now is they weren't watching that meeting to say, I wonder if he's going to cut at 50 or 75. They knew it was going to be a quarter. What else is he going to say? And calling for 2 more cuts will be positive. The market will start adjusting accordingly. And by the time we get to our quarter cuts, they will already be baked into the pricing just like there was this time, but we're going to get it in advance. So today we actually lost ground in the market. And that has been, I don't know why this is, but it's been standard during the course of these rate movements that we've seen, that the opposite effect that you would expect occurs the day of the meeting, and then the next day you get your gains. So if you happen to be a listener that is floating a mortgage rate or looking to buy a house or has a house under contract, you haven't locked your rate, tomorrow, Friday, those are the days to be looking at the market, watching it closely, and pulling the trigger on your rate lock. If it doesn't go good tomorrow, like I expect it will, then take it. But if it does go good, then cautiously watch and see what kind of gains you can get, and then take it. Because we're not going to get a ton of movement out of this, but there's going to be some positive momentum with the expectation of 2 more rate cuts. Yeah.
So the 75 points going to the end of the year. What will that do in terms? That bring us down a half a point?
In theory, it's going to bring us down 3/4 of a point. Now, because of the fact that supposedly the current quarter is adjusted for, maybe it is a half. But at every one of these meetings, the market is speculating on what else is said. You know what I mean? So if we get to the December meeting and they cut it a quarter, and they've already cut it a quarter at the end of October, then but then they say they're going to look for the going forward. It's always going forward. So if they say in next year we really think we're going to bring it down another 100 basis points, the market's going to react to that. If they say, hey, this is it, the market's going to react to that. So it's not just what people think. It's just like, oh, the rates are dropping, but it's everybody's speculatory on everything in the markets, and that applies to this as well. So it's all about what's coming next, and they're trying to read between the lines as to what's coming next.
Yeah. Okay.
So, but I expect we get quarter, and they're bullish on lowering them a little bit more. That's going to bring us into the kind of range we want to be in. Low fives on government loans, mid fives on conventional loans. I really want to be under 5 on all loans, but somewhere in there between 4.5 and 5.5 for loans. I think that's the right place to be. We've talked about that. It'd be nice if we could just stay there. But that's just not how things go. So at least for as long as possible, I'd like to stay somewhere in that range where it's quasi-affordable for people. People can buy houses, and banks that lend the money can make money.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So interesting stuff. The day doesn't do much, but if we get the other two, that's going to be fairly significant. Now, and one thing you mentioned, I know we've got, I mentioned some of the clients. I know you've got our friends Clint and Charla Gamble, and they're right now. So got to keep an eye on that tomorrow, and you'll probably try to lock that down tomorrow based on this market movement. And you're recommending anybody, if they've got something going right now, to be on their toes for a lockdown tomorrow. Is that right?
That's right. We're floating the Gamble's rate. We've got a couple other floats going, and we're advising that we're going to watch it very closely for them. While they're doing their job, we're going to do our job, and we're going to watch it very. I've got about an hour between rates moving, or the market moving, and rates actually moving. So I'm watching that for my clients. We're going to lock it down. If it starts out bad tomorrow, I think you just got to pull the trigger, and we'll be on top of that. If it starts out good, I think you got to ride it until it starts to turn a little bit negative, and then you got to pull the trigger. So if we ride all the way through tomorrow and it's all positive, we'll go into Friday and see where we can maximize these gains.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes a lot of sense. And so I guess as a mortgage broker, what you do, it's almost like watching the movement of the stock market. I mean, it can change, hourly. It moves. People ask me, what are rates? And I say, well, like when? Now? Yesterday? Tomorrow? Tonight? I mean, they change all the time, don't they?
Yeah. It's just like the stock market. It can change in a minuscule fashion by the minute. But we are highly alerted of any strong moves. And again, once those things happen, the lenders that we broker our loans to cannot move their rates fast enough to get one by me. So we've got some time to where it's like, oh, the market's moved negative. Let's see if it turns around in the next 10 minutes, 15 minutes. If not, we're pulling the trigger, because we're not in the gambling business. We just wanted to provide the best deal we can for the client at that time.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, good stuff, man. Good information. Like I said, the Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell. One thing I want to ask you before we go to a break is, you mentioned like one person voted for 50 basis points. How is this made up? What did we talked about on past shows? Is there 9 members? Is that right?
Yeah. There's 9. There's 11 voting members and the chair. So it comes down to the majority of the 11, with the chair being very influential. And so there that is what made, there's 11 governors and a chairman.
11 governors and chairman.
But you just never see it to where it's 6-5. You know what I mean? Generally, they're on the same page. This is probably the most contentious I've ever seen it, just due to the Trump's infiltration of the governorship. And so he's trying to get the chair that is very influential, but most importantly, 6 out of 11. And he's currently working on his third. So once, and I wouldn't want to see anybody come in and say, let's drop it 200 basis points because it's going to destroy the stock market. So what they're doing, if they just continually go 25, 25, 25 to where we get to where we want to be, that would be ideal.
Yeah. From everything I know, I think that's right. I think that's right. And, of course, as we've said before now, housing may not be the number one factor in America, but it's top 3, top 5. The housing industry creates all kinds of jobs, all kinds of economic growth. This is certainly good for America. It's good for homeowners that want to move up, want to relocate, people that want to go from rentals to home ownership. And with that said, we're here to help you, and we're here to navigate that market with you. And there's all kinds of programs out there. I mean, there's that you got 1% down programs, and we got Rural Properties USDA or zero down. We got all kinds of things that can help you. I can help you find a house. I can help you get the financing in place. Can help you do every step of the way, and guide you into home ownership. So, and navigate, make you understand this whole Federal Reserve and interest rate thing, and when is the right time, to jump on there. So, and of course, the right time was yesterday, and that's not possible. But the right time right now, and we're after 5 p.m. after business hours, is tomorrow. Let's get going. Let's secure this thing because interest rates are coming down. It's almost a given at this point. We're not saying it anymore. They came down today, and they're coming down more in the future. So we've
been talking about this for years, Coach. Years. And I thought we were going to be doing this last year at this time, and now it's actually happening. The buyer's market is going to shift. The pendulum's going to shift over to the sellers. And if you're a buyer, now's the time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. We've got another outstanding guest joining us and a lot of good information. Stay tuned.
Hey, Coach Mac here. Want bonus tips from our guest and early notice when new shows go live? Head to CoachMac10x.com/podcast and join my free insiders list. See you there. Now back to the show.
Good evening. Welcome back to the Rick McCormick Show. I'm Rick McCormick, your host, and we've been joined by Mr. Kendal Dexter. And now, in the second half of the hour, we're joined by the local real estate investor and the owner of Premier Insurance, Mr. Brad Martin. Brad, great to have you along, man. It's been a bit since you were with us here, and we always like to hear about what's going on in the insurance industry and kind of from the investment thought process of things. Brad, I know you're on top of all this. We saw a little bit of relief here, 25 basis point cut today by the Federal Reserve.
Yeah, obviously for all of us, I don't care what side of the fence you're on, I think this is a welcome move by the Federal Reserve to not only cut it, 25 basis points, but then also to let people know that there might be some more cuts coming down the pipe. I think that just perception-wise eases some of the tension that might be out there in the marketplace where people are a little bit apprehensive about what's going to happen, what rates are going to do. And so definitely great news today as it looks. And the thing I heard as I kind of walked in the studio and heard Kendall talking before I came on is that they shop in. They're actively monitoring this so you as the consumer don't have to. That is so rare. In the insurance world, we deal with a lot of mortgage lenders, a lot of bankers, and to have someone that takes the time, as you talked about the couple that's buying their home, to take the time and actually monitor that and see how to get them the best deal versus just locking someone in for a rate and moving on to the next file/client. Most people move on to the next file client. They don't sit there and work it over and over again to get that client the best deal. So kudos to Kendall and his team. I know they do it Great job. So I heard that.
Thank you, Brad.
Make a note of that because
you guys can't see me. You can't see me because we're on the radio, but I'm taking a bow. I appreciate the comments.
Very well done, my friend. Very well done.
No, good stuff. And to Brad's point, what was said today is more important than what was done today. 25 basis points, that was already kind of factored in. That's not going to move the market much, as Kendall said. But saying to anticipate and expect cuts in the next two meetings, if all of a sudden that goes to 75 basis points, then it is significant. And I think just the overall news is going to get more people shopping and looking. And it's clear. It's a little tiny bit of help, but it's clear optimism. I mean, I think that's a big thing. I mean, don't you guys see that as really kind of optimism on the whole housing front now with this announcement? Go ahead, Kendall.
Oh yeah, okay. I didn't want to talk over Brad. Absolutely. And that optimism is going to drive the market in our direction in the short run. And we need to hear more optimism at each meeting every 6 weeks to keep that momentum going in our favor.
Absolutely. Brad, on the investment front, I mean, don't you think investors, with all this said, should probably be making their moves right now instead of, the less people I've got to run through and run over to get to the other end and score a touchdown, the better off. The more people you put out on the field, the harder it is, and so I say that as an analogy. If you're trying to buy an investment property, the less competition, the better. The more people you put out there, the chances it can drive that price up. Just that simple.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's economics 101, supply and demand. And I think what a lot of people are probably going to do is see this and say, now's the time to act. I think your unsavvy investor, your unsavvy home buyer for the first or maybe second time is going to say, well, if they're dropping 25 basis points now, and they say they're going to drop it another 25 to 50 basis points over the next 2 to 3 meetings, why shouldn't I just wait? I'll just wait till they drop it down. But what happens is, to your point, Coach, is now you got more buyers in the market. It's a supply-demand economics 101 situation where now everybody is waiting, and that delta of what you probably could save on interest rate versus the delta of what you're going to have to pay higher price to purchase that asset is not going to make up for waiting. And so the savvy investor, the savvy home buyer is acting now. The person that thinks they're going to save some money by waiting on, another 50 basis points drop here in the next few months isn't going to make up the difference because the house or the asset is going to rise more than what that basis is going to be in savings.
It's not even close. Yes, Kendall and I have discussed this on past shows multiple times. I mean, we've gone through the whole numbers. Okay, the next 12 months you're going to pay, depending on the loan size and all that, but let's say $900 more in interest. I mean, when you get more competition out there, the home price, you're going to pay $10,000 more for the home. Not to mention that one year that you would have owned it and the appreciation, just 2 or 3%, the home goes up $6,000-$7,000. So all of a sudden, I mean, you're $15,000-$20,000 versus $900, $1,100 in interest. I mean, it's not even close, gang.
Yeah, I've got some hard numbers for you. So let's say it's 6.5 principal and interest on $300,000 versus 5.5 principal and interest on $300,000, $2,160 in a year, which is about 0.67% of the home value. And if we get average 3 to 4% appreciation, that $300,000 house might be worth $309 to $312. If we have a high demand market, you might see higher appreciation than that. But either way, it dwarfs the interest paid, which may also have tax benefits. So the whole situation is not even close.
Not to mention, as competition goes in there, that $300,000 house may be $310.
That's what I'm saying. The appreciation factor. In a year's time, without a ton of competition, you might see that 310 on a $300,000 house.
Well, yeah, appreciation and hire you both, I think. But no, very, very, very good point, for sure. So, no, I mean the time to buy is now, and then the time when these interest rates drop is to go and refinance. And there's one part, I mentioned the buyer, like we got Clint Gamble right now. This one guy I didn't have to tell that to. He said, "I want to go get the house right now, or let you negotiate us a great deal. I can always refinance." I mean, of course, he listens to the show some as well, but I mean, I didn't have to. But most people have to go through this and kind of beat it into their head. Like their neighbor or somebody from church said, "Well, you need to wait till interest rates come." Yeah, you and 25,000 other people in our market, and we got a high inventory right now. Brad, I don't know if you heard, we're knocking on 9,000 properties. I'm just a hair under 8,700. That's a lot for our 1.4, million population in the greater Oklahoma City area. And of course, our MLS goes outside of that, but it is a lot. Well, guys, I'm going to shift here. Each week I've been doing realtor tips and fundamentals, and I'm going to shift a little bit. This is for like the general public and realtors, both here. I've got the top 6 things. The more technology we have out there, and the more scams there are. And I think you'll find this interesting. We've done some research here, and we've got the top 6 scams that can happen to realtors, could happen to you guys, and it could happen to homeowners in general. It could happen to me as well. Number 1, wire fraud. How it happens, how often it happens, whatever. Okay. Wire fraud usually occurs when a scammer somehow gains access to an email account of a key player in the closing process. Okay? Typically, it's somebody with the title company or an individual responsible for sending out wiring instructions or whatever. So once the scammers gained access, they send an email to a client and says, wire money to a fraudulent account. Now, from the client's perspective, they could have no reason to question the legitimacy of the email. They see it coming, it appears it's coming from the title company and one that they have been communicating with or working with. Now, and they can, that's how it happens. Now, one of the things I know, Kendall would know this from our deal with EXP. We, on every transaction, before we start, I have a cyber warning and wire fraud warning. And to tell people, do not wire money. If someone asks you to, call me first. Do not wire money. And we have them sign that document to be aware of that. But anyway, guys, that's a quick one there. But any thoughts on that? I mean, it has not happened to me, but it has happened on real estate transactions in our area, right here in the Oklahoma City area.
Frequently, Coach. I've talked to many title agents that deal with this all the time. People need to think before they click, and think 5 times before you wire money. Call your professionals and make sure that is a legitimate request.
Absolutely. It happens quite a bit. Now, second thing, I'm going to move through these pretty quickly. Mortgage relief. Kendall, you can probably talk to us about this. They are going to come and scammers find potential victims, usually through publicly available data and information. As through foreclosures, many times lists, foreclosures, notices. Occasionally they can go door knocking, but usually, it's emails and texts, and they're going to help you redo your mortgage. And occasionally there's even been some somewhat legitimate mortgage industry that try to get you to constantly refinance. There's high fees, whatever. If it's a total scammer, they'll take upfront money and want upfront money, and and they call this mortgage relief. People are near foreclosure. They're this or that. We're going to bail you out. We're going to save the day, and it's a scam. Kendall, talk about mortgage relief.
There's so much. I mean, if I was a scammer, there's so much publicly available information, such as notices of foreclosure. So automatically, somebody that is in this situation, and you can prey upon them. Some of them are pose themselves as legit. This was huge in '08 when companies would represent somebody to modify their loan and take upfront fees for that. That is completely illegal, unethical, not a legitimate business. But there's worse than that when they're just fishing. Just send out 1,000 notices to foreclosing houses and see what you can get back. So it's very dangerous out there. You got to be very careful. Always call whomever in the industry. Your Rick McCormick, Kendal Dexter, Brad Martin. Call these people and find out if what you're looking at is legitimate. It goes as far as public filings of a mortgage being filed, and then people start sending out advertisements that look like it's coming from your new lender, and they're trying to sell you your extended warranty or whatever the case. So it's widespread.
Absolutely. Now, the next one, number 3, and I'll put Brad in on this, but it's interrelated, and it's what they call loan flipping. And on this kind of scam, sometimes, again, they're carried out by legitimate mortgage people or loan officers. Homeowners with a significant amount of equity are targeted. They're often, it's easier to secure mortgage loan approvals, and the scammers kind of hide the downside of proceeding with a refinance and highlight only the positives. It's, they're going to put them in a different type of loan or an interest-only loan and, whatever, but it's loan flipping. But once again, it's loan flipping just to make money and basically take you out of an equity position and put you in a far less desirable position, or perhaps, and again, some of them are going to ask for money up front and whatever. But Kendall, have you seen any of this loan flipping?
This is about to happen right now with this quarter-point drop. My clients call me. I'm going to tell them we're waiting on the refi. It's not time to refi. The cost is not going to outweigh the benefit, and we're going to see better opportunities in the near future. Mr. Cooper is going to call these clients and say, now's the time, stack on 7, 8, 9 grand. And then they're going to call them again in 6 months and say, now's the time again, stack on another. When am I going to profit from the lower rate? You got to be very cautious about adding money to your balance to get a better rate when you're never going to see profit from this transaction.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to give you the next one, Brad. We moving through the biggest scams out there, and like I said, mortgage scams, wire fraud, mortgage scams, loan flipping. The next one, I've seen this so many times, moving scams. Number 1, they give you a low price. At the end of the day, the price deviates from the agreed upon terms. Then, many times, they require large upfront deposits. Once they picked up your belongings and they're loaded on the truck, who holds all the leverage? I saw a situation right here in Norman, Oklahoma. My guy's name is Marty. And they came there and they said, we need an extra, $4,000, $6,000. He said, why? Well, it took up more. We figured on X number of square footage. When we got your stuff loaded, it's a lot more on the truck. And if you notice to unload it at your house, I got to have $6,000 right now, or $4,000, $6,000, sizable amount. And basically, they hold your furniture and your belongings hostage. And so it is critical. And I know a lady that went to Oklahoma City Community College, OCCC, had a PhD as a vice president. And they held her furniture hostage and demanded money. And she said they were speaking in it. She said, I thought it was part of the Russian mob. These guys were, whatever. Shaved heads and tatted up and speaking in a national language. And I've seen this more than once, locally right here, moving scams. Brad, have you seen or know people that have encountered that at all? I mean, it happens a lot.
I have. I mean, surprisingly, yes. I've known people. I mean, you hit it on a T. It was exactly that. They get you with the low rates, and so you get in the door. They load the stuff up. They're the cheapest guy in town. Then they tell you, I had someone that we did the insurance with, and they tell you this is we're moving to the house. And, oh, by the way, it's, I think in that case it was about $4,200 more, if memory serves, somewhere in that ballpark. Enough that it was painful, but not too much that it was, one of those where it just raised a real big red flag. It was just enough that it kind of made plausible sense. Like, well, you said it was this amount of stuff, and it was really this stuff, and we can't deliver it until you get. I got to hire an extra guy. And, my poor client paid it. And then they came back and did some research and found out this was a scam. This is what they do. They get you in the door at price A because, most of the time, what do you do when you're moving? You call 3 or 4 moving companies. Moving company 1's $5,000, moving company 2's $3,000. So you go with moving company 2. And then they end up charging another $4,000, and it's $7,500, $7,200, whatever it was. Because they do that. Yeah, so long answer, Coach. Yes, I've seen it. Definitely be wary of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Now the next one, rental scams. Scammers will take legitimate rental listings and they'll copy them. They'll change some key details, starting with the contact information and a rental price, and make it more attractive. Then they'll post it on all these alternative websites. Okay. Once a potential victim's made contact with them, then they try to pressure them for a quick payment or deposit or to secure the property. Once the payment's been provided, the scammers, vanish. Okay? Now, I'll never forget, this has been a few years ago. I get a call on a Sunday evening. I answer the phone, and they say, do you have this place listed out here? I said, I do not, but, I can help you with it. I mean, I can be a buyer's representative and help you. He said, is this place for rent? I said, no, it's not. Are you sure? Yes, ma'am, I'm sure. Well, I talked to the person that owns it. I said, okay, who is that? They gave me a name. And I'm looking at the Oklahoma County tax records. I said, no, that's not who owns it. And they said, well, they want me to send money overnight, Federal Express, to this address in Las Vegas. That's where they live. I said, how are you sending it? And she said, it's either cash or a cashier's check. I said, ma'am, what are they going to do once you, well, then they're going to overnight me the keys back. We can move in. I said, absolutely not. Do not do that. I said, and she said, well, I drove by there and there's a sign in the yard from a realtor. I said, exactly. And she said, I asked them about that, and they said, oh, don't worry about that. That realtor wasn't any good. We fired them. And so I have seen this firsthand over and over. The people, sometimes renters can't find anything. They've got to move fast. They get desperate. And here comes these people. Rental scams, and once they get the money, you never see or hear from them again. It's a burner phone. The phone doesn't work. And we've probably all seen that, haven't we? I know, Brad, you've probably seen rentals. You do some rentals yourself. You've seen rental scams, haven't you?
100%. Yeah. I mean, yes. Short answer, yes.
Yep. Okay. The final thing of my 6, disaster contractor scams. This usually happens after a natural disaster. Contractors approaching the homeowner with a promise of repairing or rebuilding their property. Secretly, they're never going to show up. In this part of the country, Brad, on the insurance side, when do we see that?
health
When do we see all the out-of-states?
All the time.
When does it happen? After,
After
wind
a major
and hail.
storm. Health. Yep.
Well, a major storm and everybody needs their roof repaired. Kendall, you live in a community that has guards on the gate, so they probably don't make it into your neighborhood. But if it hits a neighborhood, they start going door to door. Hey, we got a great roofing situation. Hey, we got this. Those guys are in here, and they've drove in from, Iowa or Florida, and they were selling automobiles 2 weeks ago. Now they're roofers. And
I had that at my house. I had this September hailstorm last year. Knock on the door. Guy said, "Hey, I'm over here talking to your neighbor and giving him a great deal on his roof. Thought I'd talk to you." I said, "Oh, really? Which neighbor is it?" Point to his house. He pointed to house. I said, "All right, great. What's his name?" "Oh, man, I can't remember. I see my notes." Pull up your notes. I can wait. I got nothing going on. Yeah, this is some scam. And so, well, you got to be
another thing. Another thing I do, we just got about a minute left, but I have guys come to my door at my home. And now you're with who? I'm sorry. What's the name of the company? I said, speak real clearly because you're on the cameras right now. They're being recorded. Okay, and I'll repeat the name of the company. Now tell me your name. And I said, do you have any identification? Do you have a business card? Well, no, I don't have a card. I said, okay. Well, where's your identification? Well, I got a driver's license. I said, let me see it. Well, it's in the car. I said, well, I guess you're going to have to go get it. Don't come up here and knock on my door and say you're somebody. You got no business card. You got nothing on. Let me see your driver's license. And when they walk to the car, you know what happens? They get in the car and they leave. So do not. And solar panels is a big one on that too. A guy came up and said, well, yeah, we're part. When you closed, didn't they tell you about us? We're partnered with OG&E, and I said, who is they? Well, the closing people, the title people. Well, where did we close at? He didn't know I owned a real estate company. And I said, no. I said, bro, I don't know what you're trying to make up here, but they ain't nobody told me anything, nor were they supposed to tell me anything, nor are you partnered with anything. I said, I handle this transaction myself. I own a real estate company, so best thing you can do is probably turn around and go get in your car and leave right now, and don't come back. And so, anyway, those are scams. Whether you're a realtor, homeowner, wire fraud, mortgage relief, loan flipping, moving scams, rental scams, and disaster scams. Keep all those in mind. Hey guys, I'm sorry we're out of time, man. It's a great time of the year. OU football, baby. College football, pro football. The Thunder will be here in a few weeks. But we want to thank all of our listeners for being with us this evening here on the Rick McCormick Show. We're here on Wednesday evenings at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. We appreciate you being there. You can also catch our broadcast on Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Music, and YouTube channel. Until next show, you stay safe and may God bless.